Today I want to talk to you about 5 tips for the month of June. Oh, this is going to be so helpful for you guys. I know you're wondering, what should I be doing in the month of June? Am I doing all the right things? I don't want to do the wrong things. I want to do everything so that my bees continue to be healthy and grow. That's what these tips are all about. So let's jump right into it. First of all, let's talk about tip number 1 is let's think about swarming. For most people, probably swarming is winding down. Can we just be done with swarming? Oh my gosh. Here in Illinois in the month of May, it was such a month of swarms everywhere. My hives tried to swarm. I was cutting out swarm cells, as you've seen in my videos. I had to catch a few swarms. I couldn't keep up with it. All my hives survived in the winter, and it kept me really busy. Now it's kind of, not so many swarms anymore, and so we're happy about that. And so you need to be mindful, though, that bees can really swarm anytime they want to. Yeah, they might still swarm in the month of June, July, even in the fall. It's not uncommon to see bees swarm. So let's keep an eye out. We don't have to be probably as diligent about it, but let's keep an eye out that we don't see swarm cells. Now, having experienced a lot of swarming, tip number 2 is you got to make sure that you get queen right. That's right. Because when bees swarm, a colony will swarm, they have to raise a new queen to replace the queen that left. The older queen leaves, the established older queen leaves with the swarm, and they raise a new queen. And so in your case, what you're going to have to do is make sure that was successful. Number 1, did they raise a queen? Did they get that queen raised? Number 2, did she go out and take her mating flight or flights? And number 3, is she laying now? And do you have a good brood pattern? So you see, swarming is kind of like a risky behavior of the colony. They have to do it to reproduce, but they have to replace the queen, and that's kind of risky. So it's going to be your job as a beekeeper. Go back in your hives that swarmed. You got to check them, make sure they have a queen. If they don't, you have a decision to make. You can let them raise another queen, but it may be unlikely they can do that if they swarmed and there was a period where they didn't have any eggs, the virgin queen didn't get mated or got killed in the mating flight. You don't have any eggs for them to raise. You're better off, in my opinion, to go ahead and buy a mated queen now, and that way you can put it in there and not lose time waiting for them to raise their own queen. That's going to take 30 days at least, and so you'll be low in population by the end of that 30 days. So let's get a mated queen in there if you're having queen troubles. Often what happens this time of the year is that the queens begin to be superseded or replaced, and that's particularly true if you got a package of bees. Sometimes they just replace that queen that came with the package, and it could be a nuke too, or it could be a swarm that you caught. This time of the year, the month of June, you might see them replacing what appeared to you to be a good queen, and they're replacing her with another queen. So now you're going to be down population because they have to raise a new queen, wait for her to get mated, and start laying again. So you're going to be down about 30 days before that queen starts laying. Now, if you see supersedure cells in there, I like to just let them go and let them raise those queens. Because if I would tear that down and buy a mated queen, that would work, but then there's a chance they may not accept my queen that I bought because they were kind of wanting to raise that supersedure cell. And so it's just better for me, I've found over 30 years of bee experience, that if that supersedure is already started by them, let them finish it and let them raise what they want to raise. So you might see supersedure cells and have to make that decision, but I prefer to let them raise that supersedure cell. But watch for those cells. Supersedures are halfway up on the foundation, on the comb, rather than at the bottom. Swarm cells you'll see more at the bottom. Before I get into tip number 3, let me tell you that I was at a bee conference over the weekend, really enjoyed it. I had a ball. And then this weekend I'm going to be speaking in Northeast Kansas Beekeepers Association meeting there. Dr. David Peck and I will be giving a whole day queen field day. We'll be showing you how to raise queens, giving queen lectures and all. That'll be fun. But that's on a Friday, and that is sold out. But the conference isn't sold out yet. So on Saturday, June the 6th, I hope you'll join me. It's in Lawrence, Kansas. They're going to have a ball there. Come join us. Register today. Here's the link right here. Let's get back into tip number 3, which is all about adding your honey supers. That's right. Those supers need to be added in the month of June if you haven't done it already. because you want that wax to be drawn out, unless you had some that were already drawn out. So get them on there and get those frames drawn out, and then you maybe, if it's an overwintered colony, might start collecting honey. I wouldn't go crazy expecting honey if it's a new colony, like maybe it's a new package or a nuke or something. They have to use a lot of the incoming nectar to metabolize it and make wax. And so that's going to be slowing them down on whether they produce honey for you. In other words, they have to ingest about 8 pounds of nectar or honey to produce 1 pound of wax that they would add to and build comb by. So the second year after they built their comb, when they go out and get the 8 pounds, they can put it directly in as a resource. But the first year in beekeeping, they're really having to make a lot of wax. So don't get mad at your bees if they don't make you a lot of honey that first year. Kind of expect it. It can surprise you though. Sometimes that first year colony will do great and make you some honey. Kind of depends on where you live, what the nectar sources are in your area, and it kind of depends on how prolific your queen is laying. And everything going right, they can really do good. But be watching for that. And particularly you need to add your honey supers. I've made 2 videos now about whether you should add a honey super above a queen excluder or not. I found out that you should. And I also made a video about when you have a honey super on there, do you add the next super on top of the one that's being drawn out and filled up by the bees, or do you slip it under there? So that's a good video, and I'll leave a link in the description for that video, top super, bottom super. But many of you just need to get those honey supers on there, get those things drawn out. Tip number 4 is all about mite control. Yeah, you might think you're okay, you're out of the woods. A lot of people that start beekeeping, that are new to beekeeping, they don't really see the necessity of really treating for mites because they don't really see them or see a problem. But I'm here to tell you that mites are a big problem. The Varroa destructor mite is really bad for bees, spreads viruses, it will weaken your colony, ruin your honey flow. It's just terrible. So I really recommend that you get serious about treating your mites. We have an arsenal of really good treatments that are available to beekeepers today. When mites first hit me, there were no treatments available, and we struggled with that. But today, there's so many treatments that you can rely on. Now, a lot of you are going to ask me in the comments, David, just tell me what you use. And it kind of really depends for me, right? If I want a flash kill, I'm going to always use something like OAV, oxalic acid vaporization, or I'll use Formic Pro if the temperature isn't too hot. And those are big hitters for me. I like Formic Pro below 85 degrees Fahrenheit. You can apply it with the honey supers on. And I like it because it kills below the cap brood, where many of the pupae are being attacked by the mites under the cap cells, where oxalic acid vaporization doesn't kill below the cap cells. So you kind of have to retreat a few days later. As they emerge, they're releasing more mites as the bee emerge. So you're going to have to keep going back and using the applicator again to kill the mites that are emerging out of the cap cells of the pupae. So, but those are my 2 go-to methods. I really like those, and that keeps the numbers down. There are other treatments that are more slow release treatments. If you don't have a real high mite count, you can always use those to keep the levels down, and they can be things like Apigard, Viroxan. Many of these types of treatments take 56 days, and so they're killing mites over a long period of time, keeping them under control. There's the new one, the double-stranded RNA, which is Nora. A lot of people like the idea of using that one. It stops mites from reproducing, and so you can always go to those kind of things. There's, like I said, a lot of things are available. It's going to be up to you as a beekeeper to really do your own research and figure out, what your colony needs, what your temperature is, and is it time to treat with, can you treat with supers on, supers off? All of those factor in to what treatment you choose. But no matter what treatment you decide to go with, friend, I want you to be sure and do a mite test, an alcohol wash, and see what your mite levels are. You want, you don't want a lot of mites on that alcohol wash. Now, typically we say 3 mites per 100 bees. Anything over that, treat. But I'm even going less than that. To me, I'm aiming for 0 or 1. If I see more than 1, I need to treat. Because if you do the math, if you have 1 per 100 bees, and if you have 60,000 bees in there, you got quite a few mites in there. So Let's figure out maybe lowering that standard a little bit, being more aggressive to control our mites. Last year was the first year I was extremely aggressive controlling my mites. And I think that's what led to all of my colonies surviving, and not just surviving, but thriving, as you've seen in my videos, coming out of winter. Mite control is paramount. I go to conferences, and time after time I speak to beekeepers. They tell me their bees died from wax moth, which isn't true. They tell me their bees died from a cold winter. That's not true either. If that's true, all of our bees would be dead. You know, so the idea that beekeepers are pointing to something else rather than the main cause really concerns me. So we really need to have really good control of our mites, especially in June, July, August, before we start raising bees of winter physiology, which are called diutinous bees. So let's get the mites under control. Now, my last tip is tip number 5, and it is about giving room for your bees to expand. Now, don't go anywhere. I got a bonus tip coming up that's really going to help you, not so much this month, but next month for sure, and the month after that, extremely for sure. Okay, so give your bees room to expand. That means if you have 5 frames drawn out, or let's use the word half. Some of you use 8 frames, some of you might use, 5 frame nukes and raise your bees in that. So when half of the box, whether it's an 8 frame box, 5 frame box, 10 frame box, half of that box has drawn out comb on it, and the bees are putting resources or brood on those frames, it's time to add a box to that, okay, above it. And so that's the way, the rule of thumb that works really good. You don't have to do math and 5 to 7 and all that. I used to say when the box gets 5 to 7 drawn out frames with bees on it, add your next box, and then everybody was like, well, I have an 8 frame hive, what do I do? Or I have a 5 frame nuke, what do I do? So when half of them, okay, let's use half. That gives the bees a chance not just to go straight up. If you put all the boxes on at once, and don't freak out if you did that, if you didn't know better, but if you put all your boxes on at once with a new package or a nuke or something, they kind of chimney. They have a tendency to go up more than going out and drawing out the combs along the side. But if we let them kind of get a little wider, like the 5 frames in the middle, and we put the next box on, they continue to go out more to the sides than just putting them all on at once. That's why we put a box on after they get a good start on the box below them. Now, this tip I want to throw in here because it is an emergency beekeeping tip for the month of June. Emergency, okay? You gotta really be aware of this. This catches beekeepers off guard every season, even experienced beekeepers. Here's the deal. Right now in the month of June, depending on where you live, but most of us are not experiencing any robbing because as you can see, maybe on camera back here, my bees are really going crazy foraging today. There are a lot of resources out there. So since there's a lot of resources, the bees don't really rob each other because it's easier to go get stuff free than to come in and have to break into a hive and rob them out. So robbing is going to start for many of us when a dearth hits, either in July, August, or probably August for almost everybody. But it can come earlier. Some of you probably have a very short nectar season. And so once that nectar season is over, your bees are going to start robbing each other, especially smaller colonies. So I encourage you to really buy a robber screen now. Get it on hand. I know so many people, when the robbing starts, then they start saying, what do I do? Oh, I need to buy a robber screen. But when your bees start robbing, it's really too late. I mean, seriously, I've tried to stop it. Sprayed them with water, thinking they would think it's raining and go home. I put wet sheets on hives that were being robbed out. I tried all the techniques, nothing works. I mean, man, when the robbing starts, it doesn't stop until sometimes they destroy the whole colony robbing it. You don't want that to happen. Now, you might say, well, David, I don't have as many hives as you do, so I don't have to worry about it. Yeah, you have to worry about it because look at all those trees out there. If you live anywhere near where other people have bees, or bees could be in the wild, like trees or old buildings or barns or something, those colonies out there might be strong enough to come and rob your single nice hive in your backyard. So get the robber screens in the month of June, even though you may not need them till next month or the month after. That's an emergency. Let's get that on hand, okay? It's like a fire extinguisher. You don't wait until you have a fire to go to town and buy a fire extinguisher. Don't wait to get this robber screen when the robbing starts. Get it on hand. In fact, once you see that the dearth has started, a period of time when you just don't have any more clover, there's nothing blooming much in your area, or bees aren't going out much anymore. When that starts, it's a good idea to put the robber screen on then. Prevent it, don't react to it. Okay, that's an emergency tip that all of us should really adhere to. I want to show you how I decide whether to top super or bottom super. I made a video just for you to kind of think this through with me. Check it out right here, guys. I'll see you over there.